Hannaford's son, and he's going to introduce our special guest today. So, Shane, turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. My name is Sergeant Shane Michael Hannaford. I'm a former Marine, a disabled veteran from the Iraqi War. I'm going to leave Eva's story to Eva, a phenomenal guest speaker, and you guys will be privileged to have her. I took a class at Tulsa Community College, Art Appreciation, a couple semesters ago, and they told us to go find a museum to walk through. And out of all of the museums in Tulsa, I chose the Holocaust Museum. I'll touch on that a little bit before I relate that to my experiences in Iraq. Walking through the museum, I came up on an object, or kind of a memento, called a Yizkor. It's got 6 towers, and it kind of represents the smokestacks from the crematorium from the Holocaust. Coming up on that, you really have to take a moment and kind of reflect on that personally. I did some research on Oklahoma, and I know you guys have been learning about the Holocaust, but they murdered about 12 million people. And to show you how astronomical that is, I pulled up the census for Oklahoma in 2008, and that's roughly about 3.6 million people. So they took out about 3 times the size of all the citizens in Oklahoma last year. So that really puts things into perspective for you. My experiences in Iraq, I volunteered to go. The Marine Corps didn't make me go. I almost ended my 4-year term without having to see combat. But I volunteered to go not because they flew planes into the Twin Towers, of course, that motivated the U.S. to step in, but how that reflected with the Holocaust and what Hitler was doing, racial profiling and measuring someone's existence to whether they deserve to be here or not by their race, their religious preference and whatnot, how that kind of touched me. Saddam Hussein, if you didn't know, was one of the only dictators in history to drop biological weapons on his own people. Iraq is separated into 3 different entities, the Kurdish, the Sunnis, and the Shiites. He dropped biological weapons on the Kurdish, so he was, I think it's a slippery slope, but he was, at least we think, starting what Hitler did, and history tends to repeat itself unless you don't step in. So the Marine Corps as a whole, or the United States, could have stepped back and thought we'll leave them to ourselves. I mean, there's a lot of controversy about the U.S. Putting its fingers where it doesn't belong internationally, but someone has to be bold and step up and do what's right. So I volunteered to go to Iraq. I was in Iraq for about 2 months before I was hit by my 4th roadside bomb. The fourth one hurt me enough to go home. I took shrapnel in various parts of my body and went home. I was in a wheelchair for a while, healed up, and then went back to Iraq by choice. So I didn't feel the mission was over. But I saw the war and terror firsthand. So having that in hindsight, walking through the Holocaust Museum, it's touching, maybe disturbing is the wrong word, but it's really opens your eyes. And so after you hear Eva's story, I think it'll open your eyes up a little bit more, and I would strongly encourage you to walk through that museum yourself and remember kind of what I said about Iraq and what they did to those 12 million people, half of which were Jewish. Now I mentioned the Yizkor when I first walked in, when that kind of resembles the smokestacks, for the crematorium. That really opens your eyes right there. But as I walked through the museum, I saw a mural, and they named it Eva's Story. And how that, all the way from the Holocaust and that horrid, an epic time in history, how that kind of brings it home to Tulsa, is what Eva's going to talk about. And I told her, that I wouldn't steal her thunder because it's a phenomenal story. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Eva right now. I appreciate your time, and thank you for letting me talk to you.